the underground resistance. And this is the context in which Camus writes his most famous work, The Myth of Sisyphus, in 1942. The book asks, how should we confront the absurd? The absurd, with a capital A, is a technical term in Camus' writing. It refers to the contradiction between humanity's desire to find meaning in the universe and the universe itself, which is completely meaningless. And once you realize that life is pointless but you are compelled to find a point to it anyway, Camus says there are 7 possible responses. Number 1, you could kill yourself. Number 2, you could try to ignore it by filling your life with pleasures of food and drink and company. Number 3, you could just deny it. For instance, you could be religious and say, no, there is meaning in life because the meaning comes from God. Or you could be an existentialist and say that maybe you don't go in for organized religion so much, but in some sense you create your own meaning in life. Camus saw both of those as forms of denial. He says you're still not really looking life in the face because ultimately the universe is meaningless. That's why he didn't like to be called an existentialist, although his work does have some themes in common with that. The 4th way of confronting the absurd is to become an actor and try to live lives that pretend to have meaning within the context of stories. The 5th is to become another kind of artist, like a painter, somebody who creates works of art that have meanings as a substitute for living a life with a meaning. And the 6th is to become a political person, like a conqueror, somebody for whom power and government and the right way to use those things fills up their time and gives them meaning. All of these methods Camus considers and ultimately rejects. But the 7th and final method of confronting the absurd, the one that he actually recommends, is acceptance. Accepting that life is pointless, but that you are compelled to find a point to it anyway. But this acceptance isn't a kind of sad, passive, depressing acceptance. Camus thought it was an act of resistance against the universe itself. You look life square in the face. You don't deny it, you don't distract yourself, and you don't give in. And you live life anyway in full knowledge of its pointlessness. In Greek mythology, Sisyphus was doomed to roll a boulder up a mountain every day and then watch it roll back down again every night forever. And Camus says the only way Sisyphus can really be happy is if he accepts the pointlessness of that task and he decides to own it and go down the mountain every night smiling. You can see how living in Nazi-occupied France informed a lot of these ideas. This feeling of fighting what looked like an unwinnable battle against uncaring forces indulging in pointless, inhuman destruction was a feeling that Camus was very familiar with day to day. The final line of the book is, "One must imagine Sisyphus happy."